All right, what to do after you've had a bad night's rest. So this module is dedicated to helping you recover from sleep deprivation. If you had, a night or two of just awful sleep, there is a protocol that we recommend, adhering to if that happens to you. So first thing I want to cover is you have to learn the difference between acute versus chronic sleep deprivation. And what I mean by this is that this protocol that we're going to go over in this module does not apply to chronic. So if you're someone who has issues sleeping day after day after day, and that is your normal, then I would recommend for you to go back to weeks 1 and 2 and really nail and master those 2 basic weeks and really look at your sleep and see what you're doing and not doing correctly. Go back and kind of fill in the blanks. This module is for the people who have acute sleep deprivation, which we'll go over in a second. So what is acute sleep deprivation? Examples of this are people traveling, people who go to church on Sundays. So maybe your church is a little bit earlier, around 9, 8. That might be something that offsets your sleep. Maybe picking someone up at the airport, so you have to wake up at 4 or 5, ungodly time in the morning. Or you have a client call from a different time zone. So a lot of our previous clients, a lot of people from different groups that we're a part of, they have clients that are way behind them. So they're not ready for a call until 11 p.m., 11:30, sometimes midnight, because that client can't have a call any other time. These are examples of acute sleep deprivation where they only happen every once in a while. Usually they are unplanned or very random, spontaneous, things that you don't really have full control over, right? Because we're all human, we're not robots. We do have to abide to other people's schedules sometimes. And this is totally normal. This is why it's so important to nail the 90% of our protocols, because when you have these slip-ups of picking someone at the airport or you have to stay up late one night during the week, you really don't feel the effects. And that's most of the protocol. That's half of the battle, because when you're so caught up on your protocols and you adhere to them day in and day out, that makes you more resilient, more adaptable, more ready to perform. Your nervous system has a way better time adapting to new, different situations because it has the energy it needs, it's healed, it's not stuck in this stressful or traumatic state, which is the main purpose of this program. If I could wrap it up in 1 or 2 sentences. Now, on the flip side, what is an example of chronic sleep deprivation? This includes someone who is consistently putting work first. So it doesn't matter what day it is, what your protocols are, you will put work first, which is a flaw, definitely when it comes to your health. And every night is a late night, meaning that, again, going back to this first bullet point, that you are consistently putting work first, and that means you might not go to bed until 1 or 2 a.m. And your sleep metrics are awful because of this. So when you're looking at your Oura ring, you have frequent wake-ups. Sometimes you go to bed at 2, sometimes you go to bed at 11. It doesn't really matter because you're not making health a priority. Your work is a priority. And this includes in the morning as well. So having frequent wake-ups, having a super high awake time around hour and a half, 2 hours, that is a sign of your sleep metrics and your sleep quality not being ideal. And because of all of this, you're only getting consistently, less than 6 hours of sleep, which if you go back to week 1, we show a study on Japanese workers where they weren't getting, 4 hours of sleep. They weren't getting 5. They were getting around 6.5, which you think might be doable, something you might be able to get away with, but it showed a 400% increase in cardiac arrests 10 or 15 years down the road. So you might be able to get by on those less than 6 hours of sleep, but it might be too late because you're not noticing the effects now. But what about 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when you have family and kids? That's when it's gonna matter the most. So if you check off any of these boxes, I recommend, again, going back to the basics of week 1 and week 2, fixing your sleep first, and then applying these protocols. This protocol should not be an everyday thing to catch up on what you missed. So again, this protocol is for acute sleep deprivation, not chronic. Now, Operation Sleep Recovery. This is our protocol. Step 1 is do not hit the snooze button. No matter how tempted you are, do not do it because it's only sending your body confusing signals. When you go from conscious state to sleeping, you're entering new brain waves. This is not an easy job on the body. It does take lots of energy, lots of different receptors and hormones to get that going. So do not hit snooze, because you're only going to confuse your body more, making you wake up extremely difficult. So what I do personally to avoid this is I either set up my alarm across the room on a desk or a dresser, or sometimes I'll put my phone completely in a different room in my bathroom, which is connected to my master. And I can still hear the alarm just fine, but I have to walk about 15 feet to go pick it up. And by that time, I leave my window open, so my room is freezing. I'm pretty awake by that time. So that's one way how I avoid hitting the snooze button. I have some clients who are ruthless when it comes to not waking up, and they have to use the alarm Alarmy, which is a sort of application where you have to scan a barcode. You have to go downstairs, go to your kitchen, find chips or something, and then scan that barcode. So it forces you to get up, and the alarm won't turn off unless you do that. So step 1 is do not hit the snooze button when you first wake up. Step 2 is eating a high protein breakfast. Now, why do I recommend this? Because when you are sleep deprived and you go a night with maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep, shorter than your normal time, your body's gonna have a harder time regulating hormones, especially the ability to regulate and metabolize glucose. So when we're sleep deprived, our blood sugar levels are a lot more sensitive, meaning that we're more prone to that spike and crash. When we eat a meal full of carbs, you're gonna feel great maybe for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but then you're just gonna crash. You're gonna wanna take a nap. You might want to use the bathroom because it increases urination. Regardless, our body's a lot more sensitive when that happens, and this is proven by studies. So if you have a night of crappy rest, or you have to wake up early, you only get those 4 to 5 hours, I recommend having an extra high protein breakfast, because our body is super sensitive to carbs and sugar first thing in the morning. I usually recommend, introducing carbs a little bit in the morning, but primarily afternoon, in the afternoon or evening. And then getting sunlight. So this is probably a no-brainer, but getting sunlight helps us adapt to our surroundings and make sure our circadian rhythm is working how it should. So this includes sunlight or any time outside in nature. If you live in a place like me where it's more cloudy, it's more of a mild climate, we don't have much sun in Seattle, Washington, just getting outside, put your headphones in, maybe have a phone call with a loved one or your partner. Anything outside will help you reset your clock. And being outside and getting sunlight is known to be a stress reducer and a mood enhancer. So if you're feeling kind of down after your bad night's rest, maybe something else is going on, getting sunlight or getting out in nature will be your best friend. Now, don't abuse coffee. So in the first module of this week, we talked about coffee consumption and what we recommend. But when you are sleep deprived, you might be tempted to get 3 to 4 cups of coffee, make up for that lost sleep. That can cause issues and dependence long term. So what we recommend is, having your typical 1 cup a day, 2 cups a day, but nothing more than that. So make sure not to abuse it. And if you feel like you need a pick-me-up or you need some more energy, like you just can't get through the day, just have a nap. That's our most natural way to restore our energy stores. But when it comes to taking a nap, there definitely is a right way and a wrong way. So I recommend taking either a 30-minute nap. So if it takes you 10 minutes to fall asleep, 5 minutes to fall asleep, depending, how well you know your latency and how long you personally take to fall asleep. I know for me, it takes me forever to fall asleep to take a nap. So I usually, for myself, if I'm taking a 30-minute nap, I'll set the timer for 45 minutes. Or if I'm taking a 90-minute nap, I'll set the timer for 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 10 minutes. Now, the reason being is because if you take a nap that is longer than 90 minutes or in between those two, so let's say maybe 45 minutes, 50 minutes, you are going to wake up in the middle of a sleep cycle, which is going to make you more groggy and tired. So to avoid this, make sure you're sticking to the 30-minute or the 90-minute. And like I said, napping is a great and natural way to make up for lost sleep. So instead of reaching for the stimulants or the extra coffee or the whatever, is in the gas station and you want to buy a Red Bull or something, just skip that and go for a nap. It's relaxing, it's peaceful. Usually people feel a lot better if they stick to the 30-minute or 90-minute nap intervals. Now, I hope you weren't looking for some supplement or stimulant-ridden protocol where we just throw a bunch of energy drinks at you or some special protocol. Really, it's about going back to the basics, nourishing your body, making sure it's getting what it needs. Because if you give your body everything it needs, it will do the job efficiently and properly without any extra help. So napping, getting sunlight, getting outdoors, make sure you're not hitting snooze. So don't confuse your body. We want to help it. All of these things will be the best variables when it comes to recovering from a bad night's rest.